afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Spike White Panther Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom. What's going on, buddy?
Hey guys, how are you doing? I'm doing good, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing well. If we seem perplexed to anybody out there, it's because we told people we were going to be streaming on Periscope.
We did,
and it's not working.
We are not on Periscope.
We are not on Periscope.
If you were on Periscope,
many people
just turn it off.
Many people are tuned in to check us out on Periscope. So
yeah,
sorry,
and yet we are not there.
We're not there.
We are in fact not there. So hopefully if they're on Periscope, they're not looking at our Twitter. So if you're on Periscope, well, you're not hearing me. If you know someone on Periscope, just apologize to them for us because we're not on Periscope.
Tell them we're very, very sorry.
We have 3 viewers too. We have 3 people watching us not be on Periscope.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, first and foremost, allow me to thank Grassroots Kava House for the Kava that I'm drinking on today's episode, which they handily gave me in this insanely large Nalgene bottle.
That's very really impressive. That's what happened. That when you start doing these endorsements and product placement, they give you free stuff. So this is just the beginning of that. I still pay for my water, my delicious purified drinking water. You can't read that, but it's purified drinking water from the Kroger company. The Kroger company. If you're in North Carolina, it would be Harris Teeter.
To everybody, Bula Vinaka.
Bula Vinaka.
I'm still really upset about this Periscope.
Yeah, Periscope thing. I'm trying to let it go. I'm just trying to make peace. It's
also 2 things. One, I have to finish this cookie because it's the last one in the sleeve of these Thin Mints, and obviously you can't leave one in a sleeve. But
for even an hour, yeah.
Right. I also slipped on a banana peel today.
Oh well, like in a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you do the little where your legs were going slippery sliding before you fell, or was it just a straight up fall?
No, I did not fall.
Oh,
this time. This is actually the second time I've slipped on a banana peel.
Where are you? Where are there banana peels on the ground? Where are you?
Well, one was in Virginia and one was here in St. Pete, out back of Grassroots. So if you're at Grassroots, be careful walking out the back door. There's
bananas. They're apparently playing Mario Kart outside. Be careful of that.
I did not know banana peels were actually slippery until the first time I did it. The second time, which was earlier today.
The second time you knew, at least.
Right. The second time I knew, but I caught myself and I turned around and I looked to be like, what was that? And I saw a banana peel and I went, oh, that makes sense. And the guy said, are you okay? And I said, yeah. He goes, that looks like you hurt yourself. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And he said, what is that? This is a random dude that's watching us, by the way. Just calling him the guy probably isn't enough. And he was like, what was it? I was like, oh, it's the banana peel. And he said, what? And I said, yeah, it's a banana peel. You can actually slip on a banana peel? I said, yeah. You didn't know that?
It's that old trope about banana peels that you can slip on. The one in Virginia might have been part of some kind of racist hate display, and you just got caught up in the mix. Unintended casualty.
Either that or the attorney general just was trying to get me in a place where I was not able to defend myself.
Speaking of which, speaking of that, of racists and rapists in Virginia, every single Virginia politician has apparently either dressed in blackface or raped someone.
Right.
I'm as surprised as you. All of them. That seems to be a prerequisite.
Allegedly raped. I will say allegedly raped.
That's true. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Because when the whole Kavanaugh thing happened, and neither one of us are fans of Kavanaugh, we both said that we just didn't know. There was no way to know. Right. It could very well be true. The sex rape party was a bit much, but the Christine Blasey Ford could have very well happened. And with this, I think her name's Vanessa Tyson, with Lieutenant Governor Fairfax. I'm nailing it with names tonight, by the way, guys.
You're doing great with
I'm doing great. I haven't called anyone Andy yet.
Names start. Once it hits 8 o'clock, Spike's like, that guy, I think his name's Steve. And it's
Steve.
Justin, man.
Yeah. Good old, what was I calling Rick
you're calling him Bill Scott Rick Nelson.
And Rick
it's like, no, not Ricky Nelson. Not the heroin addicted crooner from the 50s.
Ricky Nelson and Bill Scott. What a rough race that was, huh, guys?
Yeah, that was a tough race here in Florida.
It was tough because no one knew who they were. So yes, they've all go ahead.
Made it considerably harder to win when nobody knows who you are.
Yeah, that's a big hurdle. So there's been a lot of rape happening and a lot of blackface and or Klan masks, Klan hoods happening in Virginia in the 80s. Like, this wasn't, so I mean, it's not like it was ever acceptable, but it's one thing if you tell me, oh, some 90-year-old white politician was dressed in blackface in 1950 something. Still unacceptable, still offensive, but it's like, okay, that's what white people in the South did back then. They thought it was cute. This is 1984. Like, there was no one still thought this was cute. Anyway, so but now what's happened is, now that Ralph Northam, nailing the names, now that Ralph Northam,
you're killing the names today.
Freaking wait, I'm not even done. Now that Ralph Northam is on his apology tour, where he's going in front of one black liberal journalist after the next to say, oh, that was really bad. And they go, oh, it was bad, but we forgive you. Now that he's on his redemption tour, the focus has now shifted to Justin Fairfax. Huh?
Yeah, Justin Fairfax.
Justin Fairfax is his actual name.
Justin Fairfax.
His literal name is Justin Fairfax, the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, and his is what now, 2 rape allegations?
Potentially a 3rd coming up.
Oh. And so
they're coming out of the woodwork like Kavanaugh's were.
And this is how it happens, right? Like, and it could be because of people. It's probably a combination of people that are just trying to get in on the the gravy train, and people that are like, okay, well, I was scared to ever tell anyone, but now I'm going to tell it. It's probably some combination of that, or they might all be lying, or they may all be true. We don't know. But so now that's come out, and so now all of the Democrat presidential candidates have come forward to call for Justin Fairfax's resignation, and he said no, right? He's flat out, he's not leaving.
Justin Fairfax has not stated one way or the other, actually.
Oh, okay.
He didn't say that he wasn't going to leave. So we all know that Ralph Northam has said no. He's like, no, I'm not leaving. And his reasoning behind it is, I don't want to be labeled a racist for the rest of my life. Okay, I get that. I mean, you probably should have thought about that before you did blackface and
or the Klan, right.
Yeah, whichever one you were. You probably should have thought about that back then. But Justin, good old Lieutenant Governor Justin, is probably on the same kind of mindset. He's probably on the same kind of mindset where he's like, if I leave, I'm gonna be known as a rapist for the rest of my life, and I don't want to be known as a rapist for the rest of my life. And in his mind, he's probably thinking, no, rapist is worse than racist, where in Northam's mind, he's going, no, racist is worse than rapist. Wow, that was really difficult to say without messing that up.
And you did a great job. We're all proud of you. And in their respective identities, they're correct. I think for a white politician, rapist and racist are probably similar. And for a black politician, rapist, just, I mean, a lot of people aren't even going to accuse you of racism, regardless of what you say, especially on the left, because they don't believe that black people can actually be racist. But a rapist, a male rapist, no, you can't do that. And so they all called for him to resign. But what's funny is now it's kind of calmed down, or at least we've hit our plateau of outrage for this, right? So now Northam is like, I'm out of the blue. I didn't do the moonwalk, although I still say if he did the moonwalk, that would have probably helped him.
It probably would have helped him if he killed the moonwalk. It would if he did like my version of the moonwalk. If he did my version of the moonwalk, they probably would have been very upset, even more so than they were at the time. But if he had killed it,
right,
they'd probably be like, all right, well, yeah, we get it.
And I'm pretty sure he would have killed it, because if you look at the way that he excitedly, like, I talked about this with Zinga Johnson, my guest last week, that, okay, so he's sitting there like, my career's over, I'm standing in front of a bunch of angry people and the world talking about how I'm, trying to convince them I'm not a racist. And someone's like, hey, I heard you can moonwalk. And he's like, yeah, I can moonwalk. And they're like,
show.
Can you do it now? They're like, can you do it now? And he's like, yeah. And he kind of looks over and he's like, I got enough room here to do this. And he's like,
assess the area. I got this.
Oh yeah, he was like, yeah, I got this. And he's like, and it's like the look on his face. So I know how to salsa dance, and no one believes me. So when people are like, hey, can you salsa dance now? I'm like, yeah, damn well, sure I can. And so I, if my wife's there or someone that knows how to do it, I get all excited because I'm like, hey, we got room to dance. So I know that feeling because it's like, they're about to see that I can dance. And he had that same like, I'm going to do this. And he kind of looks over, and then his wife's like, no, this wouldn't be appropriate. And he's like, my wife says this wouldn't be appropriate. Like,
the direct quote was inappropriate circumstances.
Right.
And I don't know if there was a pause in between the in and appropriate. So I don't know if she was telling the reporter that he can in appropriate circumstances, or if she was telling her husband these are inappropriate circumstances. Like, I'm not sure which one it was.
Either way, she didn't want him moonwalking right then.
No, she did not want him moonwalking.
Like, it was like, do not moonwalk right now. And he's like, but you know what? This guy became governor it's not quite a swing state anymore. It kind of leans Democrat, but it's still a competitive race that he was in. I trust the guy's instincts. I say let him moonwalk. But anyway, so let the man moonwalk. Because if he kills it, it's like the end of the movie and everyone's like, woo! And because he can do it, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter that I'm racist anymore. And so that he could have completely turned this around, but we're now out of the worst part of it.
That would have been the end. That would have been the end of the '80s movie. It's like, oh yeah, I just won the dance battle competition, so all the bad crap that I did for the first hour and 20 minutes of this movie is out the window because I won.
Right, exactly. This is Virginia politics, Electric Boogaloo, and he nails it at the end, and it ends like the credits where he's like. And like the girl kisses him, so his wife comes over and she's like, "I was wrong. It was great that you moonwalked and that you're racist." And then they kiss, and then it goes to credits, right? And so that's exactly how this would end. So we're out of the worst part of this, and now it's sort of everyone now has adjusted to this new reality. Sort of like how when Trump says something outrageous, and we're all like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he said that." A week later, it's like, "Yeah, well, he's Trump and he said it, so no one even cares anymore." Right. Like the shithole country comment or the whatever else he says. Same thing here. Now, if he resigns, he resigns. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Fairfax is waiting for that to happen for him. Like, okay, you don't care that I'm a rapist maybe anymore.
Right, yeah.
And go ahead.
But no matter what, neither one of them want to resign, because then it's admitting that they are the things that they're being accused of. And that's you resign because you're a racist, or you resign because you're a rapist. Right. And you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Like there's no career as an MSNBC contributor after that. No, absolutely not. You're not even CNN. Not even CNN, who took the guy from here. Oh God, he ran for governor. He lost. To Charlie Crist? Oh, Andrew Gillum.
Thank you, Andrew Gillum. The guy from Andrew Gillum, who got fined for ethics violations. He was found guilty of ethics violations, and CNN hired him that day. These are ethics violations, and you still couldn't be able to do it. You still would not get a job at CNN after resigning because of being a rapist or a racist.
Yeah, because ethics violations are like here.
Right. Yeah.
Rapist is here, and blackface is somewhere also here. Murder's here. Actually, murder's also here.
Yeah, rape is higher than murder.
That's a good point. Yeah, rape is, especially if it's multiple victims. So you're a serial rapist. Right. Yeah, no, we don't care what you think about Nancy Pelosi's, newest speech or whatever. So Right. So they called for him to resign. There was one of the legislatures was introducing articles of impeachment and quickly removed it. It didn't get voted on because the Virginia Legislative Assembly Black Caucus, I think they're called, Black Caucus of Virginia's legislature said, no, we don't want to talk about, Fairfax resigning or being impeached until Northam has resigned or been impeached.
Right.
And the Democrats strategists would actually prefer that Fairfax would get removed first, because now there's a new lieutenant general, so that when the lieutenant governor, so that when my hands make no sense in this, I'm doing this for me. When the governor gets replaced, they already have their new lieutenant governor in place who becomes governor, and then they do whatever. If they get rid of the governor and then the lieutenant governor and then possibly the attorney general, because I guess he did blackface too and can't moonwalk.
He did blackface. Okay, so with the attorney general, and I did not do a great job on the notes this week either, because otherwise I would know his name. But the attorney general, a lot of people are saying, okay, when Northam donned blackface or dressed up as KKK, but at least he admitted to doing blackface. He was 24, I believe, in med school.
Right.
When the attorney general did it, he was 19, and they're like, when you're 19, you're 19. We can forgive some things because you're young and you're dumb. And so he got out ahead of it before anybody else was able to report it, which is why he just sort of dropped it. He dropped it because odds are, since he's next in line after lieutenant governor to become governor,
right?
They did not want that coming out. They didn't want it coming out, and they were like, he was like, well, I did it when I was 19 years old, and I felt bad about it. I think he also he may have dressed up as Michael Jackson as well. I think.
What is this? Why?
I did, man. You got a lot of good questions. I like it. You're going places.
Why? What is happening in Virginia higher education that they're like, hey guys, you want to do Michael Jackson night or Klan and Sambo night? Like, I mean, like, what is this? Are you still? Here's another question. Is this still happening? And if so, why? I guess why is my overriding question on all of this.
So, man, I don't know. I don't know.
This was more of a rhetorical question.
Right.
Question
is it still happening? Probably. And what these kids are learning now, the ones that still do it, they are looking at these pictures and going, well, crap. I can never become the governor of Virginia or attorney general.
Oh, well.
But if I go to Duke University and allegedly rape a woman, I could still be lieutenant governor.
Which is pretty close. I mean, lieutenant governor, I mean, you can, if you...
You're a breath away.
Rape her and I guess traumatize her so much that she doesn't tell anyone is the key. So if you're going to rape her... By the way, at Money Waters Media, we'd like to go ahead and take our nightly disclaimer of saying that we are against rape.
We are against rape.
We do not like rape. We're anti-rape.
All forms.
Any of the various forms of rape, none of which are good. Each one worse than the next is bad. Yes. We are against all the rapes. I was going to name the different rapes, but I don't think that's necessary or advisable.
I don't think that we need to do.
Let's just not do that.
Yeah, let's not, because that would then, like, Facebook would just be like, nah, man.
Like, enough already. If Periscope's not letting you on, we're not either.
You guys ride this line every week, and we're not
week. So, rape is bad. Yeah,
so one of the allegations that came from not the first one, not the one you mentioned earlier. Again, no notes. But the second one.
Oh, Mark Herring, by the way, is the attorney general.
Thank you. Attorney general. I was like, Mark Herring did not accuse Justin Fairfax.
Not yet.
Not yet. Anyway.
Yeah.
But Woo, this show. But the second accuser went to Duke University, right? Correct? Or is that the first accuser? The second accuser.
I don't know anything about the second or possible third accuser.
So the second accuser went to Duke University.
Okay.
That is where Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax went. While she was there in, I believe, 1998 or 1999, she was allegedly raped by a member of the Duke University basketball team. As a member of I love Duke basketball. I was trying to figure out which one it was, but I couldn't because it never made its way to Coach K, so nothing was ever done. She said that she took it to the dean, and nothing was ever done about it.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, this made huge news all across Duke, and this accuser was known as the one that was raped, and people felt bad for her. Most people, allegedly. I'm going to keep saying allegedly, because this is all just a story.
Right.
But later in the next year, the following year, was when she and Justin Fairfax had their encounter, and Justin allegedly raped her. And when he was leaving, she was sitting there sobbing and crying. And she said, "Why would you do this to me? We were friends." And he said, allegedly, "Because what happened to you last year means that you won't tell anybody." Allegedly, he said this.
And the Vanessa Tyson, the one that he allegedly raped at the convention, I think the 2004 convention, she had a history. I guess she was raped by her father multiple times, and raped by someone else, and he knew that. And so is this guy, because that's okay. So again, rape is bad. There is no good rape victim. There's no good
rapist.
Yeah, that's what. So not only is he allegedly, if this is true, not only is he raping women, which is never good, he's raping rape victims, which is like a special kind of sadism, where and also a calculation that, they're already traumatized by rape. They're not going to tell anyone. But what a horrific, you already have someone who's struggling through life as a rape victim, and, determining their value and trying to, relearn their boundaries and all of the stuff that comes with rape, and feelings of self-doubt of if you could have done something to stop it. All the stuff that rape victims go through, and intimacy issues and everything else. And then you do it to them again. That's, no, you're not going to be on MSNBC. Or Fox or any of them. You're not going to be on any of them. You're not going to be on this show either, because we're against rape. And so that's been held off because, honestly, it's being held off, and even the people that are trying to hold it off are saying they're holding it off because he's a black man, and why is the white man who allegedly has a killer moonwalk, why is he not being impeached or removed first? And so there's a whole thing. My guess, and you can tell me if you disagree, is that all three of them are still going to be there a year from now, or there's a possibility that they're going to just keep leaning on Fairfax because more and more people come out accusing him of rape, in which case, so Southern Democrat parties, including Virginia, are heavily reliant on black voters, because at least I don't know about in Virginia, but in South Carolina, the majority of Democrat voters are black. Right. And that's true in most Southern states. White people vote Republican, or most white people vote Republican, and almost all black people vote Democrat. And so because of that, these state Democratic parties in the South are very, very, very careful to keep black voters happy, because they would have absolutely no ability to compete in those states without them. So if this happens, where, nationally there's pressure for this guy to step down because of the rape, this could blow things up for Virginia Democrats. But we will see.
Okay, so
go ahead.
What I was going to say, let's take bets on Virginia politics in a year, because I'm feeling pretty strong about it. I think I know.
So when is their next election? Is it because they do the off-year elections?
They do the off-year. So it's no. Okay, so they did 17, and it's a 6-year term.
Oh, okay. So there's no election this year.
There's no election this year.
And it's
because 2017 was when Northam was elected.
Okay.
Right, 2017. Right. Yeah, 2017 was when Northam was elected. So he's going to be in there for. Is it a 6-year term or a 4-year term? I think it's a 6-year term because they only get one. You don't get reelected.
Yeah, no, I knew that. Which is the other reason that there hasn't been a lot of pressure. The pressure is diminishing for him to step down because he's going to be gone after this term anyway.
Right.
Next Virginia election is in.
I was going to say, I think it's going to be like 2021. No, 2022, 3.
This is saying 2019.
Well, not for governor though.
No, U.S. House, U.S. Senate. Well, no, state. No, it's for state stuff. It's for state stuff. So right. No, so there's nothing this year. So my guess is that, and I don't know, year, 6 months, whatever, or I guess a year from now, I think that they're gonna have the same governor and the same attorney general, and the lieutenant governor will. What's that?
I was gonna say the lieutenant governor is gonna be somebody different.
Yeah, the lieutenant governor is someone different. And probably will be a black person and probably a black woman. And probably possibly the woman he raped. But definitely it will if he's replaced and it's not by a black person, holy crap. That'll be watch that one.
Yeah, if they replace him with anybody who is not black, the Democrats will definitely lose the governorship and possibly the Senate, and actually they may lose the presidency.
They might lose a lot of things. That would be a huge. I cannot imagine that they wouldn't replace.
I cannot imagine what would happen if that were the case.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he'll be gone, and I think he'll be replaced by probably a black woman. But so speaking of things here that I'm looking at. Oh, speaking of, president, we were talking about presidential campaigns. We've had so now we're up to what, 715 people that are running for the Democratic nomination for as president against Donald Trump in 2020. The newest entries are Liz Warren, who in my mind has been running for quite a while. Go ahead.
I was going to say, ever since she drank a beer on Instagram.
Ever since she tried to, really ever since she released her ridiculous, I'm somewhat native, 1024th native.
Yeah.
Ever since she did that, that was like, okay, she's running for office because she's getting this out from under her. But yeah, no, once she started day drinking on Twitter, or Instagram, that definitely cemented it. And then Amy Klobuchar of, I think, Minnesota. She has, is it Minnesota?
It is. It's Minnesota.
She announced during a blizzard that she was running for president. And of course, the current president, who is in fact Donald Trump, I have to remind myself of that every once in a while, that happened. Donald Trump immediately went on Twitter and with Klobuchar, he noted how she was talking about speech about global warming during an actual blizzard and he was right. By the end, she looked like a snow woman. She looked like a snow person.
A snow person.
A person of snow. And then with Liz Warren, he brought up the fact that she's a fraud when it comes to being a native. And in fact, there's more to that. She apparently someone released that because there was always this plausible deniability that she herself had ever written native.
The bar thing.
Yeah, so she wrote on the bar. She wrote American Indian for her race,
right?
And that's a confirmation that she was legitimately trying to pass herself as a native.
So funny thing about that is the rumor is on the old rumor mill of political landscapes, which you know most people in the mainstream media not going to report this kind of thing, but instead you're going to get that here, where
as you often do. We scoop the news a lot.
We do. We definitely scoop the news a lot, but in this case, the rumor is that the moment that Justin Fairfax was accused of allegedly raping somebody, and the Virginia governor, Ralph Northam, was seen in pictures wearing blackface or a KKK uniform, and then he said he admitted to being in the photo, and then he took it back, and then he said, no, I couldn't have been in that photo because I dressed up as Michael Jackson. That was when Elizabeth Warren's team leaked that because they figured it would get covered up by the news of everything going on in Virginia, and it would be forgotten. But allegedly, the rumor mill has it that her team is the one that leaked that.
So, and that probably was the best idea they had in front of them. But in the age of the internet, where everything is permanent, that's going to come back.
Right.
Like, that's not going to go away. It's definitely better that it was, because they can go, well, it was old news. Everyone already knew that. But it's coming back, and that's going to haunt her all the way through it, especially in light of the fact that because the Democrats right now are trying to out-woman and out-person of color one another, almost before their policies, it's like, well, I'm black. No, well, I'm really black. I'm like, well, I'm Tulsi Gabbard. I'm a Pacific Islander, and I'm a woman. I'm also a woman. For this white woman to be constantly fighting ever increasing proof that she tried to pass herself off as a native for personal gain, that's just not good. That's not a good.
But a white woman.
Yeah, she tried to like.
It wouldn't have mattered what she tried to pass herself off as, because anything other than just being Elizabeth Whitey Warren, you've lost. You've already lost.
So that's going to definitely haunt her. I don't give her a shot in hell of getting the nomination. And if she did, in some weird John McCain-esque come from behind victory, she's not a shot in anything resembling hell that she's going to win based on that. Because I mean, now you think that they were mad about Hillary? Goodness, they would definitely be mad. And unless Hillary runs again, in which case I've already said I will vote for her in the primary, because
of course
you have to. So that happened.
If Hillary runs and Bill Weld runs.
Oh, that's right, Bill Weld. Here's some news that no one cares about, but we're going to say it anyway, because no one knows who we're even talking about. Bill Weld, who many in the Libertarian Party. Bill Weld was a moderate Republican governor of Massachusetts in the 90s, 80s, 90s?
90s.
And when I say moderate, he was pro-gun control. He was essentially, he would be considered a Democrat in most other states, but in Massachusetts, he passed as a Republican. A few years back, he decided to become a libertarian for some reason. And he ran, and because of his clout as a former governor, he and another former Republican governor, Gary Johnson. Man, wow, what is Aleppo? Gary Johnson.
I was like, how do you not know that one? I'm
friends with him on Facebook. Like, oh, goodness. I just kept thinking Oldman, and I'm like, it's not Gary Oldman. I would vote for Gary Oldman.
I would vote for Gary Oldman today.
I don't even care about his politics. And he's also not a natural-born citizen, so there's really no reason he'd win, but I'd vote for him. But him and Gary Johnson and Bill Weld ran as president and vice president. They lost, of course, in 2016. But before that, Bill Weld went on a "I'm stumping for Hillary" tour, where he basically said, "Well, I want you to vote Libertarian, but if you don't, then vote for Hillary," which didn't help. It didn't help.
Where he was going around and he was saying things along the lines of, I really think that Hillary is an honest and good woman and stuff like that, and stuff that everybody knows.
Great public servant, right.
Great public servant. Very, God, I wish I could remember the actual phrase, but very reliable, something along those lines. And it's just right. Well, we all know you're full of crap there, Bill. we've never even met her. We don't need to. But he was actually doing this. But he swore to the Libertarian Party and all of its members in 2016 that he was a libertarian for life, and he paid for a lifetime membership to the Libertarian Party, which he still has.
Still has.
Once you don't get rid of that once you buy.
It's like La Cosa Nostra, yeah, you don't leave.
Yep, and
blood in, blood out.
He left the Libertarian Party, and he left the Libertarian Party in order to run for president against Donald J. Trump
as a Republican. Where he will also not win.
Right. At least if he had run as a libertarian, he would have actually run and not just done a primary.
You know, he might have gotten the nomination because he's got this. So I've never understood the argument, and I'm friends with all 6 of the actual Bill Weld delegates who support him unironically, and they all say the same thing. He has a record of governing, and he can raise money, and he is a respectable candidate. Well, his record of governing is as a moderate Republican that does not support libertarianism. B, he keeps saying non-libertarian stuff.
Very non-libertarian
stuff. He supports drone strikes against drug caravans. I mean, he's not a libertarian. And
he supports gun control. He supports drone strikes against drug caravans. He supports free education. He does not support libertarian ideals.
He supports foreign military intervention. Like, I mean, he's a down the road non-libertarian. Okay, maybe he wants weed to be legal or something, but he's not a libertarian. He is a moderate Republican. And moderate, you know,
he doesn't give a crap about gay marriage, is my guess. It's not.
Yeah,
like, no,
which is standard now. Neither does Trump. Like, I mean, there are very few politicians that are ready to fight the culture war over gay marriage anymore. It's over. And from a legislative standpoint. And so, anyway, so you know, he's going to raise all this money. Where is this money being raised? And he's respectable. You're the Libertarian Party. This is what you're worried about now? Is all of a sudden respectability is something you're terribly preoccupied with? And so he did what he probably put them out of their misery by just leaving, because they were going to stick to that till the end. So he's no longer, he's now, I guess, going to run as a Republican against Trump and lose that. So maybe the Libertarians will actually nominate a Libertarian this time.
Either that, or maybe we'll get John McAfee, which, if there is a God, I want to see this. Like this. I mean, the Libertarians will probably be toast after that, but God, that would be so amazing. Because for anybody who doesn't know, John McAfee is the guy that makes that software that you can't get off of your computer.
He's become very wealthy with it.
He's become very wealthy with it because basically you pay him to get it off of your computer. It's a brilliant plan, really.
It's genius. He's a ransomware developer.
He left America and he went down to Belize, I believe. Yeah. He went down to Belize that way he could live with his 16-year-old wives, possibly two.
I think there was more than one.
Yeah, I think there was more than one. And he had to leave there because maybe, just maybe, he murdered somebody. But no, he came back to the U.S., left his wives in Belize, I'm guessing. I don't think they came with him.
One of his wives is still with him. She is Janice Dyson, who is a former prostitute. He met her as a prostitute and then married her.
Ah, good. Well, Pretty Woman. We all saw Pretty Woman, maybe. If you didn't, I don't blame you. But
this was real life Pretty Woman, except also he's
16,
accused of murder. Yeah, and
right.
She was 16.
Yeah. So he comes back and he gets really big into crypto because of course somebody that works in the digital era is gonna get into crypto, and
right.
He decided to leave the country because he knew an indictment was coming. He decided to leave the country because he knew an indictment was coming over taxes that he didn't pay on crypto. And he said, I'm not paying them, so I'm just going to leave. So currently, at this very moment, John McAfee, presidential hopeful
John McAfee.
Yeah, in 2016, announced his plan to run for the Libertarian nomination for president in international waters, living on his boat, where he said, I will send a number of masked surrogates who I can only imagine are people wearing John McAfee masks. Yeah. Fingers crossed that is people wearing John McAfee masks. To go to my public appearances where I will speak and it'll come out of like a talking thing in the mouth, a speaker in the mouth. And more than anything else in the world, I want to see this happen. Yeah. I want to see this happen. Even if it's only I want this really, really badly. And so much so that if you all are willing to help us out and donate money, I have gotten a room for us. Like, it's lined up. I just need the money to pay for it.
We just need money.
We just need money. At the Florida Aquarium in Tampa Bay. And I will see if I can get one of John McAfee's surrogates to come and give a stump speech at the aquarium, which is extra funny because John McAfee seems to have this weird fascination with trying to have sex with whales.
Yes. So
that is not a joke.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. He tweets routinely about, I guess, some Pacific Island tradition of trying to swim in the water, chase down whales, and have sex with them, which he says is not rape because the whales, and this is a compelling argument. If you're trying to have sex with something that is several dozen times larger than you, and they let you, that is an implied consent, right?
Yes.
Legally, it's not consent because animals can't consent. But if let's say an orca doesn't want to have sex with you, you're gonna die because the orca.
Either that, or it's just gonna swim away.
Or he's gonna, yeah, that's the thing. The orca might just swim away really fast because they can swim as fast as boats. They're gonna get away from you, or they're gonna, in a panic, drown you easily because they weigh several tons and are designed to be in the water, and you're not. If they're part of this thing that you're doing with the orca, then this was consent. I'm not saying it's good or that you should do this. You shouldn't do this. It's definitely illegal. But it's it's international waters. So what do you know?
It's international waters.
Yeah, so technically it might not be illegal, but it's not ethical. And I can't imagine the diseases that get created with that kind of stuff. So don't do that. But he is a big fan of this. He's a big proponent of whale sex. And so we're hoping that if we can raise enough money to get a McAfee, Raymond McAfee, McAfee surrogate to Raymond McAfee, a McAfee surrogate to the aquarium, that not only will he give a stump speech, but he'll also give maybe a small symposium on sex with whales. So we'll see how that turns out. Fingers crossed, and give and don't stop giving. So that we'll see if that's gonna. We'll see if that'll happen.
You can shoot that to our PayPal. It's paypal.com/muddiedwatersmedia, I think.
Yeah. Muddied Waters Media, and we're probably gonna set up a GoFundMe for this. So stay tuned, guys who clearly want this. Much in the way that with whales and sex, if you don't want this, it's not gonna happen.
Right. Like, more than anything else in the world, I want a random person, don't care who, in a John McAfee mask to get up on stage at an aquarium, to open the mouth and have a speaker going, to have him talk about his presidential hopes for 2020, and then maybe. Time permitting, maybe a little PowerPoint presentation on how one has sex with a whale.
Just a short, 12-minute power speech about whale sex. So speaking of presidential hopefuls saying, I guess, stupid stuff, Kamala Harris. Kamala Top Cop Harris, who has, I think more so than any other attorney general, locked up more black people than anyone else, is now trying to recreate herself as the, hip, because she's half black and half Indian, and she East Indian. So she's, what's that?
Not Elizabeth Warren.
No, not fake native Indian, like from India. And she's now running as a hip, cool, I'm down with the blacks candidate. She's trying to occupy that Barack Obama space before Cory Booker gets it. Cory and his fake drug dealer friend T-Bone.
Right.
Kamala Harris, she's going on the Breakfast Club and all the different urban morning radio shows and doing the whole black politician tour. And she was talking about weed and how cool weed is. And they asked her if she inhaled. She said, "Of course I inhaled. Half my family's from Jamaica. What do you think?" She did not mention the countless black people, well, people of all colors, but especially black people, that she locked up for inhaling, because that might hurt her campaign. But she definitely inhaled.
She definitely inhaled. And on top of that, on top of the inhaling, they said she was explaining the inhaling a little bit deeper. And she said, "Oh yeah, back in college, I definitely inhaled, and we'd sit around smoking weed and we would listening to music." And somebody said, "What music do you listen to?" And she said, "Well, Tupac and to Snoop Dogg, obviously."
Okay.
Except Tupac's first album came out in 1991. Snoop Dogg's first album came out in 1993. She graduated college in 1986 or 1989. I don't remember which.
Did she lie about listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg?
No, maybe not, because she said that she was smoking weed in college doing that. So she may have done that, but just not in college. So was she smoking weed while putting black people in jail for smoking weed?
Those are questions. I had questions earlier. Now you have some questions. These are all good. We have a question-heavy episode.
We have a question-heavy episode.
We're answering the tough questions, asking the tough questions that no one will answer. But
that's right. So personal theory, just me. I think that she was smoking weed while putting black people in prison for smoking weed.
Yeah, I think it's either that, or she's never listened to rap in her life, and the first thing she thought was Tupac and Snoop Dogg, and she just said that, which if it were the 80s, no, you'd be listening to like Kool and the Gang and stuff like, not Kool and the Gang. Yeah, cool. No.
Run DMC.
Run DMC, Beastie Boys. You could listen to Kool and the Gang, but that's not rap. I don't know, Biz Markie, something like that. KRS One. You'd be listening to them. Big Daddy Kane. But you would not be listening to Snoop Dogg. If
it was 1989, possibly Vanilla Ice. Which would, I think, wreck your political career. But
probably. So yes, so she could very well have been. Jill Lynch says what she means is she smoked well into the 90s while she was locking people up for it. Yeah, that's what it sounded like, Jill. And she also said, "How much money do you need?" Matt, how much exactly would it cost us to get this room?
See, now that's the thing. When I was in the initial discussions of getting this room, the person could not believe the reasons that I wanted this room. So I had to prove to her that all aspects of the reasonings wanting it were real. And then she said, "I don't think that they would really appreciate it if it had a PowerPoint presentation on whale sex." And I said, "Well, I'll leave that part out, but if it comes up,
it'll just happen, and there's nothing we can do about it."
Right. There's nothing we can do about it. And she said, "Okay, that'd probably be fine." She's a friend of mine, and she's going to try to get me a discount on the room. So she needs to talk to her salespeople about it, but we need to come in with an offer first. So first and foremost, we need some money coming in order to be like, "Hey, yeah, we can offer you this much for this room to get a presidential hopeful for the Libertarian Party who cares about the environment." I think he does. But we get the presidential hopeful who cares about the environment for the Libertarian Party to come here to do a stomp speech and see where the day takes us.
If he talks about whale sex, there's nothing we can do about it.
Nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do.
There's nothing we can do, unlike a whale, I don't weigh 4 tons and have, the ability to crush a human easily. So if this person starts, I can't gorilla stomp them. And, I'm not built for that. So I'm like,
no,
what are you doing? Oh, darn it. So Fotini Henderson says the whale wouldn't notice it happening. That's also a point. What if
I don't know, because my theory on it is you have to do it with the blowhole. And if that's their source of breathing, you would notice.
They have reproductive organs like a mammal.
They do, but do you want to be underwater?
I think you're going to, if you're really committed to having sex with a whale, I think you're going to be underwater at some point.
I think you're going to have to.
Because they only they surface very briefly, and it's usually they're like coming up hard. Like, this is not an ideal moment. You got to get them when they're in the water, kind of more settled, right? Like, I thought this was like a scuba thing. No?
No, these are all questions that could better be answered.
If we raise enough money, guys, we can definitely answer all of that.
Exactly.
As I'm sure everyone wants to know.
Right. We will have all the answers to these whale sex questions if we raise enough money.
In real time.
Maybe.
So back to Kamala Harris, who, as far as we know, has not had sex with any whales.
Depends on what you mean by whale.
So she was in a relationship with a married man, although he says he was separated at the time. Willie something. Yeah. Willie Wilson. Mayor Willie of San Francisco. Or not San Francisco, Oakland. Yeah. And so she kind of got a start in her political career while she just happened to also be dating a married Willie mayor. So anyway, she inhaled, probably was locking people up. But even if she inhaled earlier, how do you have these great moments of inhaling and then say, yeah, I'm going to make a career out of aggressively locking up people who share my skin tone for doing the same thing I just did. Oh, also, I'm going to run for president on a campaign of pretending that I didn't do that. That's
Mayor of San Francisco, Mayor Willie Brown.
Was it San Francisco?
It was San Francisco.
Oh, okay. All right. So Mayor of San Francisco. And apparently a very powerful California politician. So she's got that going on. Cory Booker, who's also running for president. He has they asked him about the blackface thing, and he gave a very Obama-ish answer of, we have to think of how we have to think of how white people think about this or something like that. That didn't go over well. These guys, in the primary process is when you get your core constituency and use them to elevate you to the nominations so that then you can appeal to the world.
Right.
Cory and Kamala's trying desperately to do that, to lock down the black vote and then try to, get the powerful woman, you go girl vote. And which in theory, and especially in a crowded race, should be able to get her enough to get the nomination. Her problem is her actual record is not working for her. And I'm in a lot of, for some reason, black nationalist groups. You can explain that to me because I don't understand it. They are not happy about her at all. Like, they do not see her. First of all, if the real hardcore, I vote for black people because I'm black voters, she's not fully black. They were never a huge fan of Obama, but he was the first time of trying this. This time around, they're like, we want a black person. And she's not. Right. And then second of all, she's locked up more black people on her own than any other living person. We don't like that either. Cory Booker's problem is he's just such a freaking phony. He's like...
I will say, like, Kamala Harris has been out there trying to lock down the black vote since she decided that she was going to be running for president.
Right.
Cory Booker, on the other hand, has been working tirelessly for years to get the down low vote of the black community.
Yes. I'm pretty sure about you vote. He's got that locked down, but they don't like to talk about it a lot. They are inherently down low about it. And so he is
inherently down low about his down lowness.
He actually floated his own sexting scandal in the vain hope that it would catch on. But the the what he said to this stripper was so like, oh gosh darn it, you're pretty type of stuff, that it never became a scandal, and it almost entirely cemented the reality that he's homosexual. Which, if you're a homosexual, you're homosexual. But he's also now saying that he has a girlfriend. Won't say anything about her. No one has seen her or will verify it. But he also, for many years, he would talk about his drug, because he became mayor of Newark, which is like the hood. And, he's not from Newark. He is barely from New Jersey. And he would talk about his friend T-Bone, his drug dealing friend T-Bone, who used to threaten to put a cap in his ass. And I mean, it was like if you found a suburban white guy and tried to get him to come up with a stereotype of a drug dealer friend, this would be who T-Bone was. And then eventually,
if you found a suburban white guy who has never purchased drugs in his life. Ever.
If he says he inhaled, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't think you've ever inhaled. I don't think you've ever inhaled. I'm not sure if you ever drank. And he, so T-Bone, and then he stopped talking about T-Bone sometime in 2014, 2015. He won't. But T-Bone's still there. We want to know about T-Bone. And so now his girlfriend, who, T-Boniqua, his girlfriend, and he's, I'm sure we'll meet her soon.
Line today.
What's that?
We're riding.
Oh, I am. I'm skating on the edge. I'm living on the edge. And so we're gonna meet T-Boniqua soon. And he's a phony. I joked that he tried to do blackface, but it turned out it was just one of those charcoal masks that hurt when you pull them off. I can't stand him. I can't. It's not even his policies, because there are plenty of people it's like, I don't like their policies, but they seem like cool people, or I think they're funny or whatever. He's just so smarmy and phony.
He's so smart, and he's so smug, and he's so... He feels like he feels like I don't... When he released something that was allowed to be released, and then he acted like he did something grand.
Oh, yeah. He was like, yeah, I'm released.
Called himself Spartacus.
Called himself that. He basically, I am a hero. And yeah, I'm Spartacus. And he released a memo. And he's like, and I'm not even supposed to do it, but gosh darn it, I'm releasing this memo. And the head of his that committee or whatever was like, this is public knowledge. It's already on the website. You can see it right now. No, I'm releasing. I don't care what anyone says. He's just so damn phony. So he'll probably get the vice presidential nod when Joe Biden gets the nomination.
Actually, Jason Lyon, our dear friend Jason Lyon, he just commented, and he says, I know I'm late to the Harris topic, but sorry, it moved on me. But the weed thing, will be the big media's controversy against her as they roll out the red carpet for her nomination, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would... Yeah. Man, I don't know if she's going to win. I'm still waiting for Biden to announce.
Yeah.
But if it's not Biden, I could see it being Kamala. And I see Trump destroying her, and then nearly every news source saying it's because America's racist.
Oh, yeah. No, so the catharsis that the left will have when Donald Trump beats their candidate will be saying, well, this just proves that America is racist, sexist, whatever. So
unless it's Joe Biden,
and there's a good chance Biden will get it. And if he gets it, then all they can say is, well, their creepy, touchy, rich white guy beat out our creepy, touchy, rich white guy. If it's Kamala Harris, that's the perfect trifecta of, well, America just wasn't ready for a strong woman of color, and because they're racist. And it's funny because it's like, I love watching white millennials suddenly discover racism in America. America's racist, and it's like, do you know the history of like this? Now suddenly you think America's racist because Donald Trump. That's what it was. It wasn't Japanese internment or the Tuskegee experiments or the segregation or fugitive slave laws or any of that stuff. No, it was Donald Trump getting elected president. That's what made us racist. So
that's the most racist this country has ever been.
Ever been. Literal racism. The highest level of racism is Donald J. Trump and his Jewish daughter. That's definitely what did it. By the way, guys, I was going to mention this later, but Jason Lyon, who commented, he has a show also on YouTube and Periscope. It's called Mr. Murica, Murica, The Bearded Truth. He brings you current events with some constitutional and historical discussions to help fan the flames of freedom, one liberty at a time. So be sure to check that out, Mr. Murica. I'm never sure how to say that.
That may have that may have been the best plug we've ever done for anybody.
Yeah, guys, Jason, that's peak plugging here. It's that my water is like me nailing the plugs.
Yeah, I was gonna say Grassroots Kava House and Mr. Murica, The Bearded Truth.
The Bearded Truth. That was Jason's. He wrote that up, by the way.
Yeah. Sure. So we let's see here. So we get Kamala Harris. What's that? We still got the brilliant freshman junior house member, whatever.
Oh yeah. So speaking of Democrats doing stuff,
just saying and doing dumb things.
Dumb. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Sandy from the block. Sandy from the block.
Sandy was happy. Alexandria, not so happy.
Alexandria is not happy. She released her Green New Deal, which it was so terrible that they took it down from the website. They actually had it scrubbed from the archive sites, that archive pages. But there are still some that you can find it.
I found one on an archive site recently.
Yeah, no, you can. There are some that have it, but like some of the main ones, they've had it scrubbed from like Google's cache and stuff like that. There were some people saying that they took screenshots of it and were trying to share it on Facebook and were getting blocked from sharing it. So I mean, it was like they want this thing to go away because it was such utter garbage. Some of the highlights from the Green New Deal, they wanted to ban air travel and build rails across the Pacific Ocean and Atlantic Ocean, because that will definitely not require fossil fuels to create at all.
That's all going to be electric.
Yeah, all electric.
That is going to run on unicorn farts and dreams.
And the construction of it will also run on solar panels. So that was one of them. A program for which I'm not sure what this has to do with the environment, but a program to give free money to people who are unable or unwilling to work.
Or unwilling to work.
I want to hear more about this because I don't want to work either.
Right. Cap and trade would come back.
Yep.
The carbon tax would come back.
Yep.
Cow
farts. We're going to stop the cow farts.
Yeah. Cow farts. We got to get rid of the cow farts. I'm not sure how I'd like cork. Just put the cork right on up in there. That's the only thing I can really think of.
I think John McAfee might have some ideas there.
John McAfee may know a couple of different ways, but his expertise is more in whales, maybe not in bovine. I got a funny story to tell you about that one day, but
not now.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
So I was waiting tables, as one does to make money, and this was years ago, and I was waiting on these two people, and they said, I gave them the list of the specials, and it was like a higher end Cajun restaurant that I was working at, and I gave them the list of the specials, and I got their drink orders, and they were like, okay, yeah, just give us a couple minutes to look everything over. And I could obviously tell this first date because I've waited on numerous tables in my life. Like, you can see they're feeling each other out, like, the boxer in the first round, unless you're Mike Tyson. And they're like trying to feel each other out,
or Justin Fairfax.
Because Justin Fairfax knows he's going to have sex when he's stronger than the woman. But
the Mike Tyson of dating, yeah, allegedly, yeah.
Mike Tyson, allegedly. But so like they're feeling each other out and whatever. So I come back to the table, I bring their drinks, I give them a couple more minutes, and then I come back and I'm like, "Do we have any questions about the menu?" All professional, as professional as I possibly can. And I'm not gonna like there is no hyperbole in the way that I'm saying this. The dude looked at me in all seriousness and he said, "Yeah, what kind of fish is the filet mignon?" And I did my best to keep a straight face. And I said, "Oh, that's the bovine fish, sir." To which he went, "Oh, what's that like?" I was like, "It's a lot like a steak."
It's a lot like beef.
It's a lot like a steak. And he went, "Huh, that sounds good." The girl he was with knew the word bovine, knew what I was saying. And you see her giggle. And I went, there went my entire tip.
Yep.
And he was like, he's like, "Okay, like what kind of fish, like what kind of fish is that though?" And I was like, "It's a cow, sir. It's a
cow. It's a
cow." And he was, "Oh, okay. I'll have the jambalaya." And I said, "Great."
He knew what jambalaya was, but he didn't know what filet mignon was.
Yeah. Filet mignon.
Filet mignon.
Let's be clear. Filet mignon. And so I walked back into the kitchen and I went, "This dude at table 23 or whatever. This dude at table 23 just asked me for what kind of fish the filet mignon was, and I just want to come back here and find out." And they looked at me and they said, "You're kidding?" And I said, "No." And they, cool. So anytime I hear bovine, I remember that story and it makes me giggle on the inside, and I hope it does to you.
It warmed my cockles. But and how often do you hear bovine? So that this was, I'm glad that we had this moment. Right. So yeah, so no bovine farts. But and no other animals though are creating methane with gas like all of the other animals. It's just the cows. So it was so poorly received and ridiculed. And I'm pretty sure she wrote it. That the staff took it down and said, "Oh, this wasn't the real draft," but they haven't put up another draft. So that's, go ahead.
So immediately, Nancy Pelosi, I almost forgot her name. Nancy Pelosi, I believe she referred to it as that little green thing when asked about the new Green Deal, which that does not bode well for your first attempt at doing anything.
No.
But yeah, the staff pulled it down, and immediately AOC, that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for those who don't know, AOC went out there and blamed the GOP and said
definitely their fault.
Yeah, it's definitely their fault. The GOP had put so much fake stuff out there that people didn't believe what was in there was actually in there, which when you say things like people who are unable or unwilling to work,
I thought it was fake. I thought it was fake.
Right? But because
this is obviously fake.
Right. Somebody put out this thing about men bottling their urine and leaving it out in the sun in order to make coffee. Somebody added that, like, just made something like that and put it out.
Yeah, I was like, man, if the rest of it wasn't so stupid, I would just roll my eyes. But that I actually looked up, and that's fake. But yeah,
right. But because people were putting those things out, she said that's why the Green New Deal failed miserably. Except that Mitch McConnell, Cocaine Mitch, is giving it second life, and God bless him, because Cocaine Mitch said, "We here in the Senate." I wish I had a Cocaine Mitch impression. We here in the Senate are going to vote.
Talks like this. Talks like this. I do cocaine.
Is it like that?
It's kind of like this. I do cocaine.
I'm Cocaine Mitch.
Cocaine Mitch.
I'm just trying to do an impression of you telling me he kind of talks like me. I'm Cocaine Mitch, and we here in the Senate are going to vote on the Green New Deal. Are going to vote on it. They're going to vote on the Green New Deal because he said, as he said, we want everybody to be on the record on where they stand on this.
Yes.
The Democrats can't vote yes. They can't.
No.
They absolutely cannot.
And they also can't vote no.
No.
It's really, this is the smart that comes with doing cocaine all the time. Like all the time.
Right. I don't like Mitch McConnell often. I can't actually think of a time I have, but
he's nailed it on this one.
He nailed this one.
Cocaine Mitch knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, that's
Cocaine Mitch and the China persons have absolutely come through on this one.
Because please God, vote on this. I want to see everybody that votes for it, not destroyed.
Not destroyed, but you look like an idiot because they show you all this stuff and they're like, really? You voted to end the cow farts and build trains everywhere with no air travel? But at the same time, if you don't vote for it, then everything Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez does wing of the party, the silly, not even the far left, the silly left is gonna jump all over you and say, why did you abandon a proud, strong Latina former bartender? And
sorry, but Joseph Resendez, I hope I'm saying that right, asked if we can elaborate on Cocaine Mitch.
Cocaine Mitch. So I got to look the guy's name up. So in this last election cycle, during Mitch McConnell, who is the majority leader of the Senate, and he's a senator from Kentucky. A guy named Don Blankenship ran against him in the Kentucky primary, lost handily. And Don Blankenship, he used to own coal mines, and people routinely died in them because he didn't follow the rules, and he actually went to jail for it. So he's got quite a record himself. But so he ran and he put out this ad. If you look it up, don't do it now. Look up later, Don Blankenship, Cocaine Mitch. He put out my favorite political ad ever, where Mitch McConnell and his wife Elaine Chao, his wife's, and she's the Chinese American. Her family owns a shipping line, and many years ago, there was and this is common for ships that travel from South America to the States. It got caught with some cocaine on it, but it was probably someone that on the loading dock that tried to throw it in there or whatever. They found it, they removed it. They found that there was no wrongdoing on the part of the ship staff, and they went about their way. So this is a story that apparently only Don Blankenship knew about. And so Don Blankenship said that Mitch McConnell he called him Cocaine Mitch, and said that he Cocaine Mitch and the China persons, that's what he referred to his wife and his in-laws as, was the China persons, were fighting to, and there were so many other Easter eggs in it was, I don't even remember everything that was great that was said, but they called him Cocaine Mitch and the China persons, or China people. Cocaine Mitch and the China people, they were coming to take all our jobs and sell us cocaine. And he lost. And then Mitch, after he won, put out this little ad on Twitter, and it said, "Thanks for playing, Don." And it shows Mitch with all this cocaine around him. And so now he's Cocaine Mitch.
Right.
That's the entire story.
I'm gonna add the video to the show notes on.
Oh yes, please add the video to the show notes, because you need to watch this after the show's over. Definitely watch. After the show is over. Watch Jason on Mr. America: The Bearded Truth, and watch the Don Blankenship Cocaine Mitch commercial. Those are the two required viewings after this episode.
Right. So I just added that in for you to watch after we're done.
Yeah, because
talking about Cocaine Mitch.
Cocaine Mitch. And so speaking, we don't have this in the notes, but I want to bring it up because I think it's freaking hilarious. And it's hilarious, and it also brings up a greater point about how people deal with political issues now. Ilhan Omar, I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. She is a freshman congresswoman from Minnesota. She is Somali American. She is Muslim, and she wears she's the congresswoman that wears a hijab. And so there was something going on Twitter talking about how what was it? Someone said that so it was something about how I think Kevin McCarthy, someone in the House said something about how something related to Israel. And that, people that don't vote in favor of Israel are, anti-Semites or whatever he was saying, that they should be, that's bad that they do that. And she wrote, it's all about the Benjamins, baby, meaning like you're doing it because you get money from pro-Israel lobbies. And then someone else tweeted, they said, what lobby is giving money to political campaigns or paying politicians? And she wrote AIPAC, which is the largest. Yeah, AIPAC, which is the largest. It's the American Israel Political Action Committee. They're the most powerful Israel lobby in the U.S. And out came the allegations of her being an anti-Semite. You're an anti-Semite. You said something anti-Semitic. You're pulling out the old trope about Jews and money. Well, AIPAC creates separate PACs that they have their own staffers work for, and those staffers raise money for campaigns for people that support AIPAC's lobby. Now, that's a very roundabout way of saying that they give money to politicians that are pro-Israel. No, they don't go to their office and say, here's $1 million. They say, these are the things we want you to support, and if you support them, we will use money to create a political action committee that campaigns for you on the basis that you're pro-Israel. These are all true things. These things are true. And so she said that, and both the Republican and Democratic leadership accused this woman of anti-Semitism over and over and over and over again, and compared it to calling Jews shysters and money grubbers and all this crap. And she finally gives out this sort of half-hearted apologies where she says, I'm listening about dog whistles and tropes, and I can't wait to grow. I look forward to growing. I unequivocally apologize, and I'm thankful to grow in understanding with my Jewish friends. I'm Jewish. Nothing the woman said was anti-Semitic. I actually put up a post on my Facebook account asking someone to tell me a thing she has said, a thing that she has ever said that is anti-Semitic. We are about 300 comments in on that post, and no one has told me a thing. And by the way, this woman, I have no use for this woman. She is a Democrat socialist. She wants, all of us to be robbed to pay for every program you can think of. She is, there's nothing redeemable in terms of her politics. She's not an anti-Semite. Or if she is, she's never actually said anything anti-Semitic. She is against the policies of the government of Israel. That is not being anti-Semitic. I am also against many of the policies of the government of Israel. I'm an anarchist. I don't support the state of Israel or any other state. That's not anti-Semitic. Saying that a Jew gave money to someone else, if it's true, is not anti-Semitic. If you say Spike Cohen gave someone $5 for that sandwich, that's not anti-Semitic. You're not saying that Jews use money to manipulate people. You're saying that a Jew gave money for a thing. These Jews gave money to these politicians to support the state of Israel, or for the fact that they supported the state of Israel. That's not anti-Semitic. So there.
Yep.
Yes.
I did not. Somehow, I don't know how, because I see all of your posts because we talk so much. And so right. You're obviously at the top of my Facebook algorithm. I didn't see that one.
I think Facebook buried it, except among Jews. You didn't see it because you're not a Jew. But I said, can someone show me something? And every once in a while, I'll just comment at the bottom. We'll go, hey guys, just checking in to see if anyone's posted anything anti-Semitic that Ilhan Omar said. Nope. See you later. And then I come back a few hours later. Nothing. There's nothing. They talk about, well, she didn't talk about the fact that Muslim groups do the same thing for Muslim. That's absolutely true. Muslim groups give money.
not anti-Semitic.
That's not anti-Semitic. It's not anti. So for me to say that CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations, gives money to campaign for politicians that are pro-Islam or support fighting Islamophobia, that's not Islamophobic. It's not anti-Muslim. It's a factual statement of reality that is absolutely true. And it's true, and I said it, and it's true. And it's also equally true that AIPAC and other pro-Israel groups give money to politicians who also happen to be pro-Israel. That is not anti-Semitism. And people brought up, oh, well, she's a Muslim. Okay, well, is that being a Muslim is not anti-Semitic. And then what were the other ones? She married her brother, which might possibly be true. That might be true, and that's a bad thing, if that's true.
Well, okay, so she married her brother, allegedly, to a lot of allegedly tonight.
A lot of allegedly.
To gain entrance into the country.
Right. She didn't marry him to, knock out a few kids with him. She
they weren't trying to bone or anything. That was...
No. She married him if she did. Allegedly, this guy's her brother. If she did, it was entirely for immigration purposes. Regardless, that's also not anti-Semitic. So why'd you bring it up? And then someone else said, well, she shared something that said hook nose on it, but what she was sharing was someone saying she might as well have called us hook noses, and she was saying no, that's not true. So no one has that. And again, I might pay to boost my post because I'm waiting for someone to actually. And the closest thing someone got was in 2012. She wrote, "May Allah expose Americans to the evils that are done by the Israeli government." Also not anti-Semitic, because if you are against something the Israeli government did, an action. Now, if she said, we need to kill all the Jews in Israel, or Jews shouldn't belong in it, now we're talking anti-Semitism. But that's not being against the actions of a government. And so this is, I'm definitely not going to say that. But what I am going to say is that I know where to draw the line. It's not in whale rape. It's that. But I
can't even imagine what that is based on some of the stuff we've said.
I'll tell you later. There is this thing. So, for example, there are people out there that because we criticized Cory Booker and Kamala Harris on this episode, they will straight out call us racist because we criticized people who were black or mixed or whatever. And they'll say, you are racist. To which we'll say, no, we didn't say anything bad about them being black. We didn't say black people shouldn't do. We were talking about why we think they're phonies or why they shouldn't run for office or why we think they're going to lose or whatever. But we were criticizing them as individual human beings, and it was not their race that was why we were against what they were. And they'll say, no, it was a black person. You said something negative. You're negative against black people. And they'll do that about all sorts of different things. Or, a lot of people that if you criticize anything the police do, they'll say, you hate the police and want them all to die next time, call a crackhead. And, there's all of these. This is, some would say, the original version of that, which is, you're an anti-Semite. And it's a powerful, we just learned from Ilhan Omar, if I'm saying that correctly, apologizing for saying a thing which was not anti-Semitic, but she was getting so much pressure, and there were actual talk about her being impeached from office for this. That's a problem, and that's something that's not good. So don't do that.
Okay. So that's not... I think that you made it very clear that is not anti-Semitic. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
On the flip side of the coin, this past week in Arkansas, I believe, a man was put to death, and he was a Muslim guy, and he asked to have his imam, I believe is how it's pronounced, imam there at the side, and they said, no, you can have our preacher, pastor, whatever. You can have our Christian guy there. And he said, no, I want my imam. So people are all up in arms because he was put to death without having his imam there next to him.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people are looking over the fact that he is being put to death for raping and murdering a 15-year-old.
Right.
Because they're like, well, no, this is what matters most. sure. Because
that's important.
Having your special communicator to the sky cake in the sky, whatever, to the special baker in the sky. I don't know what you call him.
The old sky baker.
The old sky baker that's going to give you treats when you get there. I guess. I don't know. Is what Arkansas did wrong?
I mean, I'm an anarchist, so yes, Arkansas existing is wrong. But this specific thing. So I'm anti-Arkansas. The existence of Arkansas, is a travesty. No, so did they? Yeah, I mean, listen. So if you're saying you can have a person to a religious person, what's the word? Not a cleric. What do they call them? Chaplain. You can have a chaplain give you your final whatever, but only if you're Christian. I mean, that seems like, I don't know. To me, it would seem like just let the guy in. I mean, really, all the guy's doing is standing there giving whatever. I don't know what a Muslim version of a benediction is, but giving his final prayers. Yeah, and I'm sure the guy's probably been somewhat of a spiritual, leader or a place of feeling of safety to this guy. It makes the whole situation, which doesn't last very long, go smoother, and you're done with it. I think to say, no, we only allow a Christian one, I think that's going to have to... No.
They only allowed there.
Okay. Who happens to be Christian, because most of them in there are Christian. I mean, I think that it probably should be a policy change. Is it Islamophobic or anti-Islam? I think it's more just that they have a weird policy where they're like, no, you can use this one guy. And if it's anti-Islam, then it's anti-Judaism, anti-Hinduism, So here's the other thing. Is that guy a Catholic or a Protestant? Because those are two completely different, situations there. I think it's...
I was just reading about it, and people, many people on the left that I'm friends with on Facebook were all up in arms about it. The left libertarians, the people on the left, like the real left, the left that like will punch you if you're not on the left because they really like you. They were all really upset about it. And then there were people who were more on the right that were, no, who cares? He killed whatever. And then somebody said, okay, but seriously, he raped and murdered a 15-year-old. And, you had the people on the right that were like, yeah, it's a Christian nation, blah, 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 all that crap. And then you had one person out of everybody that I saw complaining about it, he raped and murdered a 15-year-old. I don't care if he had anybody there.
Yeah, and see, so that's the other thing.
I agree with that, kind of, except I'm not really a fan of the death penalty. But, if we have it, I'm kind of on that side as well.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this before. When I hear that, I'm against the existence of law enforcement. I'm against the existence of the state. When I hear that police captured a, child predator or a rapist or a murderer or something like that, my first thought isn't, well, we need to dissolve the police and, the laws. In that moment, I'm like, okay, good. Someone that was raping and murdering people is off, allegedly, if he really was, is now off the street. So that isn't where my primary energy is. Like, my primary energy is in the state harming innocent, peaceful people, not them like kidnapping and caging a rapist or a murderer. Like, I'm honestly okay with that. In the same token, if someone raped and murdered someone, and then I hear that, I'm guessing probably 20 years later, he's being executed for it. Oh, okay. Like, good, I guess. Like, or he's in jail the rest of his life. Okay. Like, I mean, to me, that's just not where my energy is. There's far too many examples of the state harming innocent, peaceful people on a daily basis in both large ways and small for me to get upset about a rapist and murderer being executed. With that said, give the guy the cleric, whatever. Like, but no, I don't have a tremendous amount of energy for this one way or the other. It's just not. It's not. I don't, I guess, care or not. I don't care, but this is not what I'm not going to lean on this as, well, this is an example of why I think government shouldn't exist. Because in an anarchist world, if someone is raped and murdered someone, you put them up against a wall. You make sure they did it, and then you put their head up against the wall and put a bullet in their head, and then that's the end of it. And you go by, and everyone goes, yay, and then you go about your day. Like, so if he wants his imam there, all right, you want to come and watch us, body this guy? Like, I'm not. So to me, I'm that's not where my energy is. But is that wrong? Yeah, I probably could have done it different.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, like you said, the primary thing here is that he raped and murdered someone. That's the primary aggression here. Everything else is we wouldn't be having this question if he hadn't raped and murdered someone. So that's my thing with that. And so leaving this episode strong, we're going to talk about arguably the most powerful man on earth. The richest man. He's the richest man on earth.
Is he still?
I think so.
I mean, I know he lost half of his billions or whatever.
Oh, because of the thing? Because of his
old land.
No. This is now. It's either him or Bill Gates. Anyway, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff
Bezos.
Bezos? Okay.
Jeff.
Bezos.
Good old Jeff.
Amazon Jeff.
Who is either the richest or one of the richest people on earth. He is the owner and CEO of Amazon and a bunch of other things, and the Washington Post. He owns for some reason. And so he put out a blog post late last week where he said that, so for those who don't know, Jeff Bezos was caught having an affair with a woman who was also married, and he's now going through a divorce with his wife and is now in a relationship with that woman. Something Garcia, I think. And
former Fox News, local Fox News, not like national Fox News. Local right. Fox News, former Fox News newscaster, and now a helicopter pilot.
Garcia. Is it Garcia?
Yeah, Garcia.
Old Ms. Garcia. And so Jeff Bezos has been having an affair with her, and apparently there's been some sexting going on between them. Nothing like some nice consensual sexting between two adults, one of whom is the richest man on earth. And it turns out that so the National Enquirer is routinely the target of the Washington Post because of what the Washington Post investigation team believed to be their involvement in the Russian collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. And so the National Enquirer reached out to them and said, hey, we've got some stuff that we don't think you'd like being released unless you back off this story, which is, I think, blackmail, right? And
pretty soon.
And so they respond, Bezos and his Bezos, whatever, Jeff and his legal team are like, no, screw you. And so the National Enquirer sends an email which details some naked pictures they have of both he and Ms. Garcia, and details each one, describes what each one is, and then ends it by saying, we'd hate to have to release something like that. I was really like, this is blackmail, and pretty sure this violates several state and federal laws. And so he jumped out ahead of it. Man of massive testicles that he is, the chutzpah that a man like this has. He puts out a blog post on Medium where he copy pastes their email and says, yeah, it's me, and I'm not going to give in to you, and I never will. Screw you, National Enquirer. And so he's like, release it, or he's arguing that they don't have the legal right to release it because they're the copyright owners of the photos, and the whoever sent it along didn't have the right to send it to them, and they don't have the right to release it without their consent, which they do not give. But he's acknowledged they exist and is like, screw you, you're not getting nothing from me. We're going to take you down, National Enquirer.
I believe, and nobody quote me on this, but I believe that he even tried to buy the National Enquirer, and they went, no.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's got the money for it.
He does. He has slightly less for it, but he still has the money for it.
Here's the thing. When you're the richest man on earth and getting divorced makes you the second richest man on earth.
By not a lot.
By not a lot. By where you might, by some measures, also still be the first. You're rich. You're really, really rich. You're going to be all right. And the National Enquirer, he didn't care. So he made here's his calculation here. Is anyone not going to buy anything on Amazon because of released photos
of Jeff Bezos's wang,
of my penis?
Well,
and of my girlfriend's like nipples or something like that. Is that going to make sense? Is someone going to say, no, I'm definitely not going to buy this on Amazon, even though it's the best deal and it'll get here in 2 days free, because Jeff Bezos texted his penis to his mistress? No one's going to do that.
No, nobody's going to care. No
one cares. In this day, and maybe 30 years ago, someone might care. No one cares now.
You sent your girlfriend a picture of your penis, which admittedly most of us have done. I'm not saying that Spike's done it. I'm not saying that I've done it, but I'm willing to bet at least 50% of this team has done it.
He's willing to bet big money too, guys.
Big money. I'm even willing to bet that 50% of this team may have sent somebody else's penis. Not saying if that's Spike, not saying if it's me, but I'm willing to bet on it. We're going to look at that and go, yeah, we've all done it. I don't care. Whatever. Doesn't matter. And you're still giving me shipping for, free overnight shipping. Great. I'm still going to purchase my stuff from you because I don't have to leave my house and put on pants, which is great because I still want to send pictures of my wang to people, which is a lot easier when I don't have pants on, as Jeff Bezos knows.
He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
He is a smart guy. You would have thought prenup, but, he wasn't smart back then, apparently.
He was not smart in the 90s, apparently.
Right. But, yeah. Oh, Jason Lynch, Bezos dildos will be in crazy demand. Yes, 100%.
If he releases the Jeff Bezos signature dildo, he will be the richest man on earth again.
Yeah.
That's another wager for this episode. Easily the richest man. Because they do that thing, like the porn stars will have a mold made and then they'll, do the thing.
Who wouldn't want to get screwed by the richest dick in the world?
Or its replica. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you 100%. Mr. America, again, guys, this is the kind of genius that you get on the Mr. America, the Bearded Truth podcast. And then right. Here and there, between the two shows, you will get this kind of in concert. So that happened. He said, screw. I just like I like people with nerve and chutzpah who are like, by the way, chutzpah is a Yiddish term. I think it's actually Hebrew. But it's a Jewish term for balls, or nerve or whatever. So the more they have, the longer you do the part, right? And so he has chutzpah. And so that's how I do it anyway. And I just like people like that. And here's a guy who's like, nah, I don't care if every single person on earth knows that I did this, because I'm not going to give up the journalistic integrity of the Washington Post. The Washington Post. That is the journalistic integrity that I am worried about right now. And so he said, screw you. So now what's the National Enquirer going to do? Who knows?
Yep. Speaking of the journalistic integrity of the Washington Post, let's just keep this shit going. Yes. On the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, the Washington Post aired a commercial that was voiced by Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Tom Hanks, which I can't even come close to doing an impression of. It was, I'm Tom Hanks, and the Washington Post has been your paper for whatever. And, they've been there for all the great breaking stories, and right. We want you to trust us and blah, blah, blah. Now, it's so hard to say when this actually happened.
Yeah.
But many years ago.
Many years ago.
The Simpsons aired an episode in which Tom Hanks did a voiceover, a guest starring voiceover, and he said, "Hi, I'm Tom Hanks here for the media. The media has lost all their credibility. I'm Tom Hanks. The media has lost all their credibility, and they asked if they could borrow some of mine." Fast forward however many years, and yes, the media is now asking for Tom Hanks's credibility because the media has lost all of theirs.
In a Super Bowl ad.
Where
they weren't selling anything. The entirety of the ad was to say, you can stop distrusting the Washington Post now, please. I'm Tom Hanks. That was the entirety of that. They weren't saying, now buy a free subscription for 6 months if you buy it. It was just, please trust us. We cannot not, if you don't, and their catchphrase, democracy dies in darkness. The most smug catchphrase ever, which, by the way, don't threaten me with a good time of democracy dying in darkness. That would, if someone woke me up and said, honey, it would be my wife because she's who wakes me up. Honey, or I guess if you woke me up, you might call me honey. Democracy died in darkness. That's a happy Jew. Jew time.
That would be, man, I'm really happy you woke me up from my nap, because Spike only takes naps, for anybody who doesn't know. He takes like 4 separate naps a day.
Yeah, I rarely sleep through the night. I nap. Yeah. My circadian rhythm is like one of those trance hop or whatever.
But he'd be like, why did you wake me up for my nap from that? But also, thank you for waking me up for my nap for that, because...
Right. How dare you? It's 3:30 p.m. I'm sleeping.
I was asleep. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. I went to bed at noon.
Right.
That's actually an actual conversation he and I may have had recently.
Oh, I'm sure. I was an actual, yeah. But thank you for letting me know.
There was the day that you called me at 2 in the afternoon, and because we had a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, you ready for this meeting? I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. I'm super ready for this meeting.
So
now imagine if I had called you to say that democracy had died in darkness.
I would have been so awake. I would have been dancing around the house.
So Washington Post, show us. We're calling your bluff. Show us that democracy dies in darkness. So speaking of Amazon, for those who don't know, Amazon had for like 2 years was flirting with where they were going to open their second headquarters. And for a while, it looked like they were going to pick like a smaller town with a lot of promise, like or a smaller city, like a Kansas City or a Topeka or I don't know, whatever, a smaller city, or like a medium-sized metropolis, like an Atlanta or something like that, and that they were going to build it up and all of this stuff, and that this is where they were going to put their headquarters. They ended up putting their headquarters in the middle of the Bronx, Brooklyn, in New York City, biggest city already. And they picked they said that it was a unique place for them to.
I thought they picked DC.
No, it's New York City.
Oh, because they're building in DC too.
Amazon or Washington Post?
Amazon. They're building in Crystal City in DC, which there is no room to build in Crystal City. I know that for a fact.
Well, then they may have split it up or something, because they also built another place there where there's no room to build anything. They're building this massive super headquarters in New York City, which is going to bring in all this tax revenue and everything else. So initially all the local city people are happy about it. Well, in comes Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who doesn't give a damn about anything, especially money. And so she's now raising a stink with certain other local Democrat politicians that they're basically threatening to upend Amazon's deal, where they got some tax breaks and they got some, a bunch of different easements and things like that, because mostly they lean somewhat on that they were getting tax breaks. But the biggest thing was gentrification. It's going to change the culture of the Bronx. Guess what, guys? Do you know why it's called the Bronx? Because it was named after a guy named Bronk, who was Dutch. So it's named after a Dutch person. Brooklyn, I believe, is named after a Dutch person. Do you know any Dutch people in the Bronx or Brooklyn? No, because it got changed ethnically, because that's what happens in major cities. You've seen a lot of Polish people recently in downtown, the south side of Chicago? No, because that's what happens in large cities, is that as one group becomes more affluent and moves out, another group comes in. And we're seeing the reverse of that, called gentrification, which is as cities become safer again, white people and wealthy people are moving back in. And yes, that changes the culture. You do not have a monopoly on Brooklyn or the Bronx. Brooklyn was not founded by Puerto Ricans. Harlem was not founded by black people. They were all founded by Dutch people. And you're there right now, and that's fine. And now other people are moving in, and that's also fine. And by the way, if you moved somewhere and people got upset about it, you would freak the hell out. But let's not say that, because that would be anti-Semitic, I think. Anyway.
So I will give Bezos credit, like tons of credit, because he has somehow been able to piss off Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders and the Democratic Socialists of the left.
Right.
And the president.
Yeah, and the president. He's pissed off everybody.
And he has pissed off people on both sides. And yet everybody still orders from Amazon because, again, it's easier to take a picture of your wang when your pants are off, and you can't have your pants off taking pictures of your wang when you're at the local store.
Yeah, no, he's definitely nailed the wang picture taking.
Justin Fairfax.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I can't wait for what the National Enquirer has on Justin Fairfax. But yeah, he's made everyone mad. But this is so when you're rich and you make big boy moves with your penis and phone, also you and also your business, but also your penis. When you make big moves with both your business and your penis. Why am I doing this? I don't know why I'm doing this, but when this happens, everyone's going to be mad. And when I say this, everyone's going to be mad.
Well, you have to say it like you.
Oh, no. I mean, when you make the big moves with your business.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, I was waiting for an in there. Like,
no, that was the end. No, you're gonna make everyone mad when you make the big penis and business moves in concert with one another. So that's why we're ending this episode.
That's right, Jacob LaBella. It's called FU money.
Yes, like literal effing of people money.
Yes, in every sense.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. Anyway, I was looking at a comment. I don't know what that means. So, but thank you for it anyway. So yes. So that's how we're ending the episode, is me talking about penises. And that's probably not the first time that's happened.
And we technically started out the episode talking about penises. So
this has been a penis.
We were talking about one penis at the beginning, and we were talking about one penis at the end.
I only talk about one penis at a time. I'm not going to do multi-penis conversations.
Yeah, you can't do multi-penis conversations.
No, not on this show. This is a Christian show. And so we so no, we don't do that. So hey, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good. Hey, so guess what is happening tomorrow, Matt?
Man, if I had to guess, you have a new episode.
I have a new episode of My Fellow Americans, Wednesday at 8 p.m., where I'm interviewing Wayne Bradley. Wayne Bradley is the former head of the Detroit, Michigan Party. He was the head of the Detroit, Michigan Republican Party. That makes more sense. He was the head of African American engagement for, I think that's what it was called, outreach for the Republican Party. He's now an independent political consultant, and he is the host of the Wayne Bradley Show. It's two shows that we're plugging on this episode. And he's the host of the Wayne Bradley Show, and we're going to have him come on. He's going to come on and talk with me about politics and continuing my Black History Month of nothing but black Republicans. And because it's my show. And then who do you have on Thursday?
So on Thursday, I was supposed to have this gentleman on who we were going to talk about whether or not it was ethical to download a house. And of course, that was just going to go into other areas of what you should be allowed to download. But he did not show up for the interview yesterday. So Jason Lyons hit me up after the show. And maybe just maybe I got Jason Lyons.
We may have Jason Lyons, Mr. America, the bearded truth.
I'm not promising that though, because I can't just drop that on him.
You can't promise that, but he might be. He might
be on the show. I know he's watching. So
no pressure though. No pressure.
No pressure, Jason. Yeah. So maybe I've got that. Otherwise, have a very happy Valentine's Day.
And then have a happy Valentine's Day, and then a great weekend too. And then next Tuesday, come back here to the Muddy Waters of Freedom. Oh, and then also go to Mr. America, the bearded truth. But come to Muddy Waters of Freedom, where we will parse through the events of the week, and we will bring the level of sobriety, seriousness, the same level that we did to this episode, and basically every other episode we've done.
I don't know if we can come close to the same level of seriousness as
democracy dies in darkness unless you watch this show. So don't watch this show.
I was going to say, wait.
No,
wait a minute.
If democracy will never die unless you watch this show. The only chance you have of democracy dying in any level of light, in any brightness, is if you watch this show and also My Fellow Americans and also The Writer's Block and also Mr. America, The Bearded Truth, and that Cocaine Mitch YouTube video.
Right, which is now in the comments. Or not in the comments, sorry, it's in the notes.
Okay.
Remember, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/muddiedwatersofreedom. You can follow us on Twitter at muddied_waters. You can follow us on Instagram at muddiedwatersofreedom. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/muddiedwatersmedia, or you can find this in every single episode at muddiedwatersofreedom.com. Casey Neth, I'm going to be going to Grassroots as soon as this show is over. So if you want to meet up, let me know.
Shout out to Casey Neth. Guys, big ups Casey Neth. Casey Strong, hashtag.
Thank you for that 75 cents, Casey Neth.
Casey, Dirty Limerick, hashtag.
Dirty Limerick, hashtag Casey.
Shout out to Casey. So guys, thank you again so much for joining us. We will see you tomorrow, the day after, and maybe the day after, and next week. And where we're going,
we don't need roads.